Hey guys, it's Purple Ferret here. Yet again, I do not have a backlog ready yet because you can kind of hear it with my voice. I had an ear infection, which made my throat sore a little bit. I'm better now, but my throat's still a little scratchy, so I sound a little bit off. The day that I was going to make this week's video, I should have done sooner, but I just couldn't find the inspiration. And then the day I was going to, I woke up with an ear infection. So essentially, I ended up putting it off until I physically couldn't do it. And then I put it off until I physically was able to do it. So that's now. You may have noticed that instead of doing a regular sketch, I took a on paper sketch and then traced over it twice. That's because I drew this particular sketch back in April. It was around the end of April, but it was still April, which was over a month ago at this point. Incidentally, it is also entirely a redraw of old art that I drew from. I'm not actually sure, but the earliest it could have been was 2017, and the latest it could have been would have been 2019. So, anyway, the purpose of the sketch that I did over top of the original sketch was to fix anatomy and proportions and stuff. Because while this was a very big improvement from the original, which I'll show at the end of the video, it still had some issues that the original had. For example, Dallas, the guy, he was not on the same level as her, which is an issue that carried over from the original, even though I directly tried to fix it. So in order to maintain the height that Dallas is supposed to be relative to her, I had to extend his legs digitally, which wasn't a huge issue. Even though I drew this over a month ago, redrawing it now helped me see all the flaws with it. For example, her forearm above her head was a little long, so I adjusted where her upper arm was so that it was a little less awkward. I feel like now would be a good time to actually convey what is happening in this image, because I've sent this image to friends who don't know the story and they were very confused, and I sent it to a friend who did know and who was not confused. So I'm gonna explain it so you are not confused. Essentially, ever since I watched iZombie, which I don't remember what year the show came out, but basically since then I've been obsessed with the concept of zombies not being mindless creatures 100% of the time, and instead capable of resisting being a zombie in some way, shape, or form. And so whenever I listen to the zombie song by Stephanie Maybe, I believe, I got an idea in my head to make a zombie OC that's living under the radar in a very nice community where they've managed to have some semblance of normalcy. They have running water and electricity, and they don't have to worry about sound drawing in zombies because they can handle them. So she's a performer and she sings. In my mind, she's singing the zombie song, but not necessarily the zombie song, more like she's singing a similarly zombie themed song. And she's performing it on a stage dressed as if she is a zombie. So she's a zombie pretending to be human, pretending to be a zombie, essentially. Because the people in this society kind of view zombies in they're a joke at this point. It's about 10 to 15 years into the apocalypse at this point, and that's why the society is so well kept. They still view zombies as a tragic kind of thing when it happens to one of their own, but if they just see a zombie out and about, they're like, haha, it's a zombie. They've like grown detached to the concept that some of the zombies were even human before. So you might be wondering what the whole deal with oh no, I've been killed, and why Dallas is on the stage with her. Also, I don't think I said her name. Her name's Rachel. Well, the reason is Rachel has been infected since she was a child, and her adoptive father raised her, and so he's the only one who knows about her condition aside from herself. And then Dallas finds out. The specifics on it aren't very clear to me at this point, or at any point in while I've been making this story, because I have yet to decide how he finds out and stuff. All I know is during this scene, he already knows. And he's keeping quiet about it, but he's very conflicted on whether or not he could continue keeping it a secret. So Dallas essentially is just kind of sussing her out and keeping a close eye on her. He comes to her show, and then she notices him in the crowd. He's not really hiding that well, honestly, but she decides that she's going to pull him up on stage as part of her performance. And that's where the prop gun comes in with the confetti. The idea is that this is always part of her show, but she picked him because she knows him and he was there. And it's a little therapeutic for Dallas because he gets to kill the zombie that is like dormant inside of her so that she's just Rachel again, even if it doesn't actually do anything for that. Basically, after this moment, he's a little bit more okay with it. He's less on the fence about it and wants to keep the secret. I actually have another zombie story that I started recently to help figure out the world building of this story, because I am actually very not sure how I want the zombies to actually stay humanish. I don't know how it works yet, so don't ask me. I mean, you can ask me, but I don't have the answer. Just really wasn't important to me whenever I was first making the story to figure that out, because I was very focused on developing the personalities of the characters and designing them, because character design is one of my favorite things to do. Speaking of character design, Dallas's design changed. Rachel stayed pretty much the same. She just developed with my art style. Like, I draw hair a little bit differently, so like her hair looks a little different, but like her outfit is the exact same. His outfit is not the exact same. It's similar. His hair's longer. Honestly, Dallas changed the most. He also was not named Dallas before. His name was David before, but I decided that was a little too generic, so I swapped to Dallas. Also, if your name is David, or you have a character named David, that is not meant to be me going, your character's name sucks because his name is David, or your name sucks because your name is David. It's entirely just, I've heard David a little bit too much recently and I had to change it. I also have a character named Michael that I named Michael before FNAF ended up with a million Michaels. So every time I think about that character, I go, why'd I have to pick Michael? But I'm too invested in that particular set of characters to change his name. So he gets to keep Michael. David had to switch to Dallas. I actually have another story that I've changed the name of characters for, and I was super invested in those characters too. So it wasn't entirely just an issue of I'm too invested. These characters, I was super invested in their names, but I had 3 characters whose names all started with F, and 2 of them ended with A. So I had to change 2 of them because it's kind of a rule in storytelling that you want to make sure that characters' names sound very different from each other so they don't get confused. And one of them I was super attached to the name of, and the other I was less attached because my association with the name had changed. So I was just like, can we do a letter swap for that one? Because I have a fae character, as in fairy, and I had a character named Faye, and the association of Faye in my head made it impossible for me to view this character with a straight face saying Faye as his name. So he changed to Ray. And then I had a character named Feta, which the entire joke with his name is a type of cheese. And there's a joke that's integral to the story. Not really, but I was dying to keep it in, where he introduces himself and someone says, like the cheese, and he says, no, not like the cheese, though I've heard it's pretty Gouda, and then apologizes for making the joke. And I love this character. I wanted to keep that, but I could not for the life of me maintain that and keep the other character's name, whose name is Farah, because Feta, Farah, too close together. And so Feta had to change to a different kind of cheese. And I was like, but Colby's boring. And then I had the best idea ever. I've been dying to have a character nicknamed Monty. And I named him Monterey so that he can be nicknamed Monty and I can still have the cheese joke. And I personally think that it makes the cheese joke better because he introduces himself as Monty. They ask if it's short for Montgomery. He says, no, it's short for Monterey. And then they say, like the cheese. And then he goes, no, though I've heard it's pretty Gouda. So it extends the joke. And I know explaining a joke doesn't make it funnier, but I needed to explain that even though this video has nothing to do with Monty or that story, I should draw characters from that story, but if I draw the whole ensemble of the story, it's major spoilers for the story. So I need to like pick a scene from the beginning, but my favorite scenes are towards the end. That'll probably be the next video, probably, because I already know what the very next video will be, because I'm obsessed with this one story that I also haven't given much love, but it has a lot of world building around it, so I have a lot to talk about in the video, so I'm excited for it. Here we are at the end of the video. We're having the reveal versus the sketch, and then we're also gonna have the original art because it holds up well enough that I don't feel embarrassed putting it on the internet forever. I can honestly say that I like the new one the most, which is, I think, a good thing. I really like the shape of the speech bubble compared to the original, and I like the placement of the words within it compared to the sketch. Also, in case you were wondering, yes, she has always had berry red pants and a green shirt. I don't know what to tell you. I just really like the combination, even though I generally don't like pairing colored pants with a colored shirt like that. I usually go for blue jeans or neutral colored pants. I just really don't want to overload people with color that they can't handle, but both the green and the red are pretty muted, so I like it. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you return for the next one. I have something exciting to talk about next time. Bye!